Welcome back to the program. I'm joined now by UA Little Rock Chancellor Dr. Christina Drale. Thank you so much for being here. It's good to have you with us.
Thank you.
So, you've been with UA Little Rock since 2006, so you're not unfamiliar with what's been going on at UA Little Rock. Tell me a little bit about just the acclimation of moving from provost to chancellor position there. Was this a big change in your daily duties?
I would say so. And, when I moved into the provost position, that was an office and a position that I was very familiar with. It was a big job, but I knew most of the elements of it. Moving into the chancellor position, there's a much broader constituency and a much broader array of things that that I was responsible for and that I had to learn very quickly. So it's exciting, and it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, you've been a little bit in the out of the frying pan and into the fryer on some things there. I do want to begin with where you are financially and with this retrenchment process that you are beginning here. What is the exact state of the budget shortfall that you're trying to close? What is the precise dollar amount? I know it's a moving target, but where are we today?
Well, right now we're working with a figure of $11 million, and part of that is our operational budget, and part of that is our overall net position budget. And so that's what we're working with now. So the overall landscape, if you will, of higher education and how we fit into that landscape, universities across the country are dealing with a demographic shift and a landscape shift in enrollment. Lots of universities are seeing declines in enrollment, and we're no exception to that. And so what UA Little Rock is doing is we're trying to adapt to that landscape and to do it in a strategic way so that we can make sure that we're still investing in our strengths and our priorities and not waiting until the last minute to try to respond to the new landscape.
What's driving the decline in enrollment? Are there other education options for students out there now? Are there fewer students matriculating into higher education? I know when we look about 6-7 years down the road, we see a huge population decline that's coming, that's going to hit the public schools and eventually work its way into the higher education funnel. But what's happening today?
It's a little bit of all of the things that you mentioned. There is a demographic shift, and you've probably heard people call that the enrollment cliff coming. So we're looking at that. In truth, though, it's not so much a decline in high school graduates, but a slowing of the growth of high school graduates, which ultimately means that there's going to be a smaller pool of high school graduates for the current number of higher ed institutions that we have. So that's part of it. The other part is that a lot of students are simply not choosing to go to college, and that really surprised us because over the years we've been able to kind of count on a steady population of students coming into the higher ed system. It used to be that enrollment was easier to predict because it was stable, it was steady, you could follow a really consistent trend analysis. Now enrollments are kind of all over the map, and we, instead of just looking at a high school contingency, you're also looking at all of the other populations that are stopping in and out of college, and it makes enrollment predictions a lot more complex.
Yeah.
So that's part of it, and so those two elements, I think, are a big part of it for us.
Where are they going? Where are these students going that used to be so predictable and you knew that the pipeline was there?
Well, there is the third element is the competition factor. We have the same number of, well, actually we have more educational institutions for the same number or a smaller number of students, because now we've got all the proprietary institutions that are offering online degrees, and we're offering online degrees as well, but there's just more competition. It used to also be that for any brick and mortar institution, you could count on your area as a pretty reliable market. Well, now everybody's in every market, so everybody's competing everywhere for those students.
So you all have begun the process known as retrenchment. It is not a word that everybody, I think, is familiar with in their dictionary or their lexicon there. It is basically a process to reevaluate what you are offering as a university. It could lead to some programs shutting down. It could lead to funds being shifted in other directions. Why is this the only option?
Well, what retrenchment does for us is it gives us a mechanism to make strategic business decisions in an academic environment. So what we really need to do is to right-size our budget to match our revenue, and we need to do that in a strategic way. So part of the retrenchment process is something we call academic planning. And what we're doing is we've got groups, campus-wide groups looking at what our priorities should be. So one of the things that we've done recently is to go out to the community and meet with business leaders and community leaders and ask them what they think is important. What do they want to see us offering and supporting as their university?
Some of that was going on already. I mean, I'm familiar with a lot of the outreach that goes on from some of the different colleges at UA Little Rock. So I mean, there's a sense there of what's going on. But you guys have a goal in mind, though, of you've got to eliminate some things that you are doing right now. Do you have any idea what some of those changes could be?
Well, in the process is really sort of in the middle of things right now, so I don't want to say that we're going to eliminate this program and not that program. But I will say that it's very important to us to maintain our role and scope as UA Little Rock. And so I can tell you what we are going to keep in terms of general areas. So we're definitely going to maintain a liberal arts core that supports our general education. We're definitely going to maintain graduate education because we think that is an important part of our mission for Central Arkansas and for being a metropolitan university. We're going to maintain our research profile, so we're going to remain as a research II institution. So those things are going to remain, but what we're going to do is to just make sure that what we invest in are our top priorities and our strengths and the things that the community also wants to see us support.
Last question for you. What's the process for this? How long does this last? Is it a 6-month process, a 3-month process, a 1-year process?
Well, the retrenchment part of it, at least the academic planning part of that, is going to be wrapped up by May. So it'll be, by academic standards, that's like lightning speed. So it will take place over the next 4 or 5 months.
All right. When more details are known, you have an open invitation to come back and share more.
All right, it would be my pleasure.
Christy, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Right. We're back with more right after this.
When homemade is too good to keep at home. Helping Arkansas business do business. Making better happen with First Security.
You'll find us at the end of a lot of long country roads, covering over 60% of the great state of Arkansas. Our 17 electric distribution cooperatives are working day and night to provide reliable, affordable power to over 500,000 homes, farms, and businesses, just like yours. The Electric Cooperatives of Arkansas, your local energy partners.